What is up, everyone? Thank you so much for stopping by. Hope you guys are all having a good day. We are bringing back an old series that I had started before, got kind of sidetracked and kind of put it on the shelf for a while. This is the Far Cry 3 gun reviews. This time we're going to take a look at the U100 LMG. The U100 can be a very powerful and very functional weapon if used in the correct situation. You'll find it's most functional when you're trying to be stealthy and you have failed, or if stealth is just not an option. For those of you who are wondering, the item can be unlocked for $1,900, or it is unlocked for free after you activate 7 radio towers. Now you do have access to 2 LMGs in Far Cry 3. The other one is called the PKM. Compared to the PKM, the U100 does fire much slower, carries less ammunition per belt, but its accuracy and damage is substantially better. It also supports an attachment slot, and the reloads are much faster because it uses a drum magazine. Now, as previously stated, the U100 does come with one attachment slot. It also has a magazine size of 60 round stock, and with the extended mags upgrade, you can have up to 120 round magazines. The maximum ammo capacity for this gun is 400 rounds. Now, along with the extended mag upgrade, there are 3 other upgrades you are able to purchase for this gun. All 3 of them are sights, so let's go ahead and quickly discuss all 3 of them. The first sight that we're going to take a look at is called the red dot sight. The red dot sight is basically an illuminated red dot in the middle of the sight, and this allows for quick target acquisition and also improved accuracy. Now, normally on most guns I am a huge fan of the red dot sight, but I feel like on this gun they have made the dot way too big, so it makes aiming at targets that are far away rather difficult. Normally the red dot sight is pretty good at acquiring targets from a long distance, but I find it way too difficult. The size of the dot can almost basically take up the entire shape of a person and make them hard to see. The next sight that we're going to take a look at is called the optical sight. The optical sight is similar to the red dot sight, except for obviously the fact that it's blue, as you can see on the screen, as opposed to the red from the red dot sight. But also the dot on the optical sight is much smaller than it is on the red dot sight. This makes it much more functional for close and long range combat. The sight also does have lines on the left, right, and bottom of the dot. I'm not entirely sure the purpose of those in real life, to be honest, but it does make the sight look a lot cooler and doesn't interfere with the function of the sight at all. Now, the third and final sight that is available for the gun that we're going to take a look at is called the reflex sight. Reflex sight, as you can see on the screen, removes the red dot and the blue dot from the other sights and replaces them with a diamond-shaped sight. The purpose of this diamond is to give you a generalized idea of where the bullets are going to go after they leave the chamber. I'm actually a huge fan of this sight in the game, but unfortunately I think it's the most useless sight available for this gun. First of all, this sight is designed for close range combat, whereas the gun is most effective from long range. Also, I find the reflex sight to be rather inaccurate for this gun, only because if you fire in burst fire like you're supposed to, the gun is very stable and there won't be a whole lot of recoil, so you really don't need to have a generalized area. As long as your sight is on target, you'll be okay. So that's pretty much going to do it for the overview of the U100 LMG. As I've done in my other Far Cry 3 gun review videos, I'd like to go over the pros and cons of the gun and discuss whether or not I recommend the gun and my recommended setup. So we'll start off with the pros of the gun. The gun is very strong, it does deal very good damage, and it is exceptional at long range, and it is also very exceptional at close range as well. The gun does also feature very large magazine size. Stock has 60 rounds per magazine, and with the extended mags upgrade, you get 120 round magazines. Another thing I should add to the pros that isn't on this list here that you're seeing is its ability against animals. Provided that you're able to keep your distance, this gun is very effective against all large animals, including bears and tigers. You'll just want to make sure that before engaging in any combat with any large animal that you have a full magazine. So the next thing that we're going to do is talk about the cons with the gun, and there are a lot of them. The first thing that I want to talk about is the noise. The gun is very loud, as we've already discussed. There is no being stealthy with this gun. As previously stated, the gun is most useful if you have blown your cover and you're no longer hidden from the enemy or from long range. Probably the shittiest thing about this gun is the ammo. Ammo is very expensive at the store. It costs $200 for 50 rounds, which isn't even a full magazine stock. The ammo is very hard to find on enemies. I have noticed that some heavies will carry it, but other than that, I have yet to encounter it at all outside of the store. Having an ammo capacity of 400 may sound like a lot, but when you have 60 round magazines, or even 120 especially, 400 rounds is easy to burn through, and with the price of ammo or the rarity of it, it's definitely not as much as you might think. While compared to the PKM, this gun does reload much faster. In reality, it is still a very slow reload, so if you are going to use this weapon, especially as a primary weapon, you'll want to make sure you get better at being able to reload at the appropriate times. That also leads me into my final point for this gun, which is that it is not ideal for frequent reloaders. What I mean by that is if you're the kind of person who will engage a few enemies and then reload regardless of the ammo count that's left in the chamber, I must admit I am very bad for that, and it's a good thing to do in shooters, but with a gun like this that reloads slow and has such a large magazine size, it's a habit you'll definitely either want to break or just not use the gun altogether. Now, at the end of the day, the gun is a very effective gun and is very powerful as long as you use it in the correct situation. You are only allowed to have one attachment for the gun, so I suggest you choose wisely. If it were me, I would go with the extended mags, as I find all the sights to be relatively useless, but if you want to use a sight, I would either use the red dot or the optical sight. But that's pretty much going to do it for this gun review. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, I'd greatly appreciate it if you guys left me a like rating below. That's going to make me want to keep doing these series because I haven't done them in a while and I'd like to keep going. Also, of course, if you're new to the channel, I invite you to hit that subscribe button down below. I do upload regularly and I do a lot of Far Cry 3 stuff. I do mission gameplays, trials, challenges, mini games, as well as gun reviews. So I definitely invite you to subscribe if you're into Far Cry 3. I also cover a bunch of other games, so check them out. And if you're interested, definitely subscribe. But other than that, I do not have a lot more to say, so I hope you guys have a good day.